8:32 a.m. Eaten the 24 hours before Koby Altman pushed to complete the 3 deals that resurrected a season and reshaped the franchise. The Cleveland Cavaliers general manager sought a most elusive engagement, a sit-down with LeBron James, before he shared the framework of possible trades for Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr., Rodney Hood, George Hill and DeAndre Jordan last Wednesday. Altman prefaced his visit with the unmistakable truth that nothing the front office could do mattered much until James had re-engaged on the court. James had been angry, brooding and playing with an indifference that Altman hadn't witnessed in their 3+ years together in Cleveland. Most of all, Altman wanted the best player on the planet to know that he understood his frustrations with the Cavaliers' mismatched assemblage of talent and crumbling culture. Altman assured James that management was determined to uproot the roster and fight to restore order. For the Cavaliers front office, an audience with James had been a rare occurrence. James had largely left his agent, Rich Paul, to communicate with the team on roster issues. Owner Dan Gilbert had spoken directly to James only once since conversations about a Paul George trade on June 30th. Back then, Gilbert required James' commitment of an additional season beyond 2017-18 for George to consider a comparable pledge. In the end, Indiana made the George deal with Oklahoma City, not Cleveland. LeBron James scored 17 of his 37 points in the third quarter, and Junior Smith dropped 6 3-pointers on the night, as the Cavaliers pulled away from the Thunder in Oklahoma City. Stay up to date on the latest news, video and analysis from ESPN senior NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski. Gilbert and James didn't meet again until opening night against Boston, hours prior to tip-off inside Quicken Loans Arena. James has declined to commit to Cleveland beyond this season, which is part of the reason Altman had come to James with trades that didn't include the Brooklyn Nets lottery pick acquired in the Kyrie Irving deal with Boston. 6 months after his promotion to GM, Altman's marching orders were these: bring on younger, athletic players under contract or control beyond the 2017-18 season and work to soothe the splintered locker room. In ESPN's conversations with those involved in the final hours of completing the 3 trades, a common theme emerged. One way or another, Altman planned to make dramatic changes to the roster. Whatever incarnations of deals emerged and re-emerged, the Cavaliers organization was sure of this. Isaiah Thomas had to go. Dwayne Wade deserved to make a decision on his own, and, ultimately, Cleveland couldn't give LeBron James reason to leave so easily in July. When Altman visited with James in the Cavaliers' practice facility a week ago, he let him know that there were still talks alive with the LA Clippers on a Jordan deal. What's more, there was significant progress. Altman had ownership approval to send the Clippers Jay Crowder, Channing Frye, Iman Shumpert and the Cavs' 2018 first-round pick for Jordan. The Clippers were willing to accept the trade, but on one significant condition. Clippers general manager Michael Winger explained to Altman that LA didn't want another shooting guard. He hoped to find a third team that would take Shumpert and his $21 million with draft compensation, and have the Clippers get a center back. Altman and Winger agreed to make more calls to try to find a third team to make the deal work. Winger wondered whether Altman would let him talk to Shumpert's agent about a possible contract buyout, but Altman wanted trade talks to be further along before granting that permission. Clippers president Lawrence Frank, Winger and Altman had talked for weeks on a trade, but they got nowhere. The Clippers wouldn't take Tristan Thompson, Junior Smith or Shumpert in a deal, and that never changed. As Wednesday wore on, Altman became more convinced that a deal with Los Angeles was within reach, only not with the Clippers. Altman and the Lakers front office had discussed the possibility that they were clearing the way for the Lakers to create space to sign James as a free agent this summer. Altman had been the assistant GM under David Gerthen in 2014, when a mere opportunity to bring back James pushed them to unload contracts in advance of his July free agency decision, dumping Jarrett Jack and Tyler Zeller. Altman watched Miami's flurry to clear space for James and Chris Bosh in 2010 and Golden State's efforts to land Kevin Durant in 2016. He knows that superstar partnerships in big markets are tough to combat. If the Lakers and James wanted to be together, the Cavaliers couldn't stop it. Altman and Lakers GM Rob Pelinka had expanded conversations beyond Clarkson to include Nance. There came a crystallization that the Cavs were taking a far bigger risk passing on players who fit Cleveland's profile than rejecting a trade based on the possibility of bad optics in July. With Jordan Clarkson aboard, LeBron James and the Cavs hope to turn their season around. Winslow Townsend, USA Today Sports. Late Wednesday night, Pelinka called Altman and told him that Lakers ownership had approved a trade unloading Clarkson and Nance for Thomas, frying the Cavaliers' 2018 first-round pick. Now Altman knew he'd go to bed with a deal in his pocket, and the ability to do more before Thursday afternoon's deadline. After talking separately to Utah on Hood and Sacramento on Hill, Altman broached the idea of a three-way trade that would land the Cavaliers both players. Utah was willing to do the deal for Crowder in a minimum expiring contract. Cleveland could choose Derrick Rose or Wade. The Jazz planned to waive either player. Altman told the Jazz he let them know which player he'd be sending them on Thursday morning. Altman had negotiated the trade with Kings assistant general manager Brandon Williams, who works under GM Vlade Divac. The management structure in Sacramento can make deals dicey, because Divac seldom gets on the phone for the trade-building parts, and yet he ultimately has decision-making power with her owner Vivek Ramaswamy. That's why a 3 a.m. ET deal memo sent from Sacramento to Cleveland left Altman at first incredulous, and then angry. Suddenly, Kings center Georgios Papagiannis had been included as part of the three-way trade. Cleveland and Utah were adamant that Papagiannis' name had never been discussed. Williams would later say that Papagiannis or Malachi Richardson were set to be included in the deals and insisted his notes confirmed that, because Sacramento had the makings for a trade with Toronto for Richardson, rival executives say that the Kings pushed to spare themselves the embarrassment of waiving the No. 13 overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft, and let someone else do it. In the middle of the night, Altman and Williams vocally disagreed over the